I'm Jack Knight Winters. This is Jack Frost University. And this is going to be my first video in a series entitled Building Kamelot, Resurrecting Atlantis. Okay? So there's this group of souls within this, within Earth, within this planet, that have been kind of continuously reincarnated throughout the ages, who have been making an attempt to resurrect Atlantis and build Kamelot. Okay, so Kamelot and Atlantis are the same things. That's a lot of people don't know that, but it's the same thing. Okay, Kamelot is the plan to resurrect Atlantis. Okay, and it's kind of funny. So this is going to be kind of like a live action role play. This is the first video in the series. It's going to be like a live action role play, but as the years go by, if people want to play, and hopefully people want to play, it will turn into something real, because all things really start off as a thought in someone's mind. So this is just a game. It's a live action role play. Okay, it's called Resurrecting Atlantis. It's called Building Kamelot. So let's do it. Okay, let's go. Okay, in order to play this game, it needs to be fair. Okay, the game needs to be fair to everyone. It needs to be fair to all. Nobody really wants to play a game if the odds are stacked against them before they even start playing. Okay, imagine playing, a football game, or a soccer game, or a basketball game, and 30 seconds before the referee actually blows the whistle and the game starts, a whole bunch of points go up on the scoreboard for one team. Imagine how that would make you feel. Just think about it. Would you want to play the game? It kind of takes the thrill out of the game, because then it's not really a challenge of might or strength or skill or talent or assets or teamwork. It's not really any of that if the game is rigged and stacked against you from the get-go. Okay, but so the kind of like the number one point to make about this game is that it must be fair to all, or else no one would want to play it. Okay, so, and that's going to bring me to I'm going to call this Winter's Maxim of Law number 1. Winter's Maxim of Law number 1 is all are equal under the law. All right? And we need a process to ensure that the game is fair. There needs to be some kind of arbitration process, or some kind of like a mediation process to calm disputes, or to deal with disputes between the players of the game. Okay. Basically, it's a process to ensure that nobody's cheating in the game. Okay, because people cheat, and you catch them in law. You catch them. Okay, and you gotta drag them into. And what this is going to be is it's going to be a courtroom. Okay, a courtroom, the king's court. Okay, the king's court. A courtroom is a place where you can go and get disputes settled. Okay, you can go through the arbitration process. Okay, it's got to be a disinterested party, someone that's not interested. Okay, it's a disinterested party. Okay, and we call this a courtroom. Okay, and it's a game. I mean, if you look at, we got tennis courts, we have basketball courts. Okay, and we have a courtroom. Okay, it's it's all kind of, it's a game. So we need a process, or we need to choose the characters that will show up in this courtroom and and take part in the deliberation process, or like the arbitration process. Okay, so let's define the characters in this courtroom in this game called Kamelot. Okay. First, we have a 12 jury panel. Okay, 12 jury members, disinterested members of the game or of society that are willing to help settle disputes in case someone's cheating. Okay, so we have 12 jury panel. Okay, and they hang out in the jury box. Okay, and aside from that, we have a judge. Okay, or a magistrate or something. Okay, a judge does not determine guilt or not. That's not what the judge is for. Okay, a judge does not determine guilt. A judge does not decide if someone's guilty or not guilty. Okay, that's the job of the jury, right? That's the 12 peers. The judge is there to make sure that courtroom procedure is being adhered to. That's the point of a judge. That is the purpose of the judge in Kamelot. It's to make sure that this process of arbitration, this dispute settlement, is going according to the rules of the court. Okay, courtroom procedure. That's what a judge is there for. She's there for courtroom procedure. Okay, and so now what we need to do is we need to enter a language into the court. Okay, because without a language, there is no law. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a language, otherwise, you're speaking something. We all have to agree on the same language. Okay. So, a language must be entered into the court. Okay, and we got to keep that in mind. And there also can be translators in this court. Okay, that means you can speak many different languages in this court, but there must be a translator. Okay, so we got judges, we got a jury box, we got a 12-panel jury. We have a judge. We might possibly have we have a language, and I guess we can use English until it's kind of a nasty language. Our language is really chopped up now. I might want to wait until we learn how to speak something a little bit more pure. But we have a language entered into the court, which at this point is English, right? And then we have a translator. And so another rules for this language, for any documents submitted into this court, there can be no abbreviations. Okay. Oh, we have to pay attention to the rules of grammar. Okay. If we're going to enter a language into the court, then we need to follow the rules of grammar, proper grammar. Okay. In this case, if we're going to use English as the language, then we need to use proper English grammar. Okay. There can also be no abbreviations in court. You cannot enter in words. You cannot enter in abbreviations, okay? This is a problem. You can't do it. And the reason why is because it all has to be official. And, like the United States of America could be, the United States of Avalon. Or it could be the United States of Ambrosia. You can't do U.S.A. That doesn't work. It never works. It can't be done. It's everything's got to be official. Everything's got to be done perfectly, and you cannot make abbreviations in a courtroom. Okay, it could be United Seats of America. You just can't abbreviate things. Okay. Also, no names can be submitted to the court. You can't use names because different people might want to have the same name. So if I'm Jack Knight Lodge Winters, you can't really prevent anyone else from deciding that they want to use that name. Although I would like to that might be nice. Maybe we should have it that way. But anyways, as you know, in the world today, many people have the same name. Okay, and everything's got to be official. So name cannot work. You must have a number. There must be a number. Now you can put the name in there as well, but you have to have the number entered into the court. Okay, every person needs some kind of a number to go by. And these days, and look at the courts the way they work now, it's a social security number. They can't really do much without that. So, all right, so that pretty much sums up the first video of this series, and the only thing I got to say about it is that, as with all things, as with all companies, business ideas, games, developing games and stuff like, real life games, live action role play games, as with all things, it's best to get in early as possible, because those, as the people who got into Bitcoin at the very beginning, they already made their millions, if not billions. I think some people even made billions. Okay, when you get in early on an investment or an idea, you tend to benefit much more than other people. It's like people, what else is there? If you got into Starbucks stock in the very beginning, or Walmart stock, or pretty much anything, if you get in at the beginning, you're going to be in a much better situation 20 years from now than everyone else who jumps into the game later on. So, although there is a level of risk into getting involved in things at the very beginning, there's also quite a benefit. Okay, so, one more thing besides that. Now, when it comes to Kamelot and the merry citizens of Kamelot, when someone has a dispute in Kamelot, a business dispute or whatever kind of dispute, the court needs to get paid, okay? And that brings me to Winter's maxim of law number 2, which is all workmen are worthy of their pay. All men are worthy of their pay, okay? And these maxims might sound familiar to you. People who spend time and energy towards something, they deserve to get rewarded for that time and energy. So, if a court and a courtroom is a disinterested third party to help in the process of settling a dispute, they got to get paid, right? You're not paying so you got to pay the courtroom to help in this process of mediation. And the court is kind of somewhat separate from the judge. You don't pay the judge directly. You pay the court, okay? So, now we got to determine who who pays the court. You have to pay up front, okay? You have to pay the court up front for any cost, because even if there isn't any kind of resolution, they still put their time and energy into things, so they got to get paid, right? So that brings us to who should pay. It should be the accuser or the defendant. I don't like to use the word plaintiff. I don't know what that means. I use the accuser for now. I might change the language later on, right, as time goes by. But right now it's just accuser and defendant. Accusing party and then defending party. The accuser. Now, should we have the defendant pay for the court cost up front? Why? Why should that be the case? I don't think so, because here's the reason why. Why should someone pay for something that they haven't even been found guilty of? Right? What was the point of that? I mean, how would you feel if someone just dragged you into a courtroom and then made you pay, a couple $1,000, maybe, to settle a dispute that you didn't start? You didn't start you didn't start the dispute. Why should you pay? So the defendant does not pay the court fees or court fines or court charges. Okay, the accuser pays. It is the accuser who pays the charges up front. They're the ones that pay the court costs, okay? And the judge gets their pay from the court, okay? So that's it. The accuser pays up front for the court costs to settle the dispute, okay? If the if the judgment ends up in favor of the accuser, then the accuser gets to recoup that court costs from the defendant. But if the defendant, if the judgment is in favor of the defendant, then the accuser loses that money. He doesn't get that money back, okay? So this is video number 1 in the series entitled Building Camelot and Resurrecting Atlantis, okay?